previous series. And here we go. We'll bring you BratOK from Team Imba FXO. He is in the red trunks, and he is playing Terran versus his opponent, the one and only Mana. He is in the green trunks, and he is playing Protoss to the northeast.
I mean, I would love to see... I mean, I don't want BratOK just to go out, but I'd love to see BratOK play versus Stefano, actually.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Especially the way he played against Moro.
Yeah.
And I'd like to actually see some extended TVZs here. And on the same hand, I mean, Mana versus Stefano, I think is good, but I prefer to see BratOK. So
it's good either way, isn't it? When you think about it, it comes down to the fact that if you get Mana versus Stefano, then you get the teacher versus the student, which is really weird considering that Stefano is actually younger. But whatever the case, it would be really odd, I think, and very interesting.
I'd much rather see Demargo versus Mana in the finals, to be honest. Two fantastic players, so.
We will see. I'm up for both. I'm up for anything here.
I mean, the way these games are going.
We don't know. There's no point in even predicting. This entire tournament has been one failed prediction after another in terms of who beats who, who's the favorite. And now we see Demargo rising once again to prominence.
I know, my predictions are usually quite good too. I've been hitting some good results in recent tournaments, but this one was out of the water really bad. Yeah,
I think your liquid bets would have gone to hell after that one, I'm afraid. Good lord. And there we go, Mana with the assimilator, pretty standard time for that one. And we'll once again keep an eye on what BratOK does. This is a good map for Gasless Fast Expand, and it looks like that's what's going to be happening.
Yeah, it's going to go Gasless Expand once again. I mean, there's no reason not to. It's a very Terran StarCraft 1X build. I mean, this is how BratOK played in StarCraft 1 too, and it translates very well into StarCraft 2 in this matchup. Not so much in the other ones, but it's good in this matchup, and it works out fine. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do see Mana just going for a complete standard build once again, just building up the economy around this one gate into an expo. He might go the second gas depending on if he feels a little bit cautious, but this is the fourth game now in this series, so I think he's going to just go one gas because every single game we've seen, BratOK has gone for this build.
Yes, he has, and Mana, I think, will be very confident with dealing with it, even after the loss last game. I think he's going to be very, very solid, and he will know exactly what he wants to do. And perhaps overcommitting with that gas didn't help him all that much, and the sentries didn't really aid him all that much. Force field placement really wasn't all that relevant in the engagement initially, so that is something to consider. And Mana's going to get, for possibly the first time in this series, a good, proper look at what BratOK's doing.
And I love the fact, I mean, just look at the minimap. You see that little J there, that little fish hook.
The number J?
Yeah, the number J there, that fish hook there. And I love the way he scouts. Actually, that's really smart to do that. And to poke in and get that command center scout. Because if you went the usual way,
Nope. And here we go. Here's the full barracks coming down from BratOK once again, and no doubt he will go for the upgrade heavy style once again. Here's the thing, if you're Mana right now, and you watch this replay, and you're now aware that the reason you lost was upgrades, what do you do?
Well, I don't think that was the sole reason he lost, was the upgrades. And like I said before, I think it was more about that drop and not really spotting it too well. And, I mean, sending 4 or 5 Stalkers alone to deal with the drop is great if you actually stop the drop. If not, and you try to engage with the drop, then that's disastrous. And then he was caught out of position, he was swinging left and right, up and down, and BratOK took full advantage of that while getting up a third behind that. So it was basically that crisis management of dealing with that drop more than upgrades.
Yep, and indeed we shall see whether or not he's able to nail that down this time. Double refinery is going up right here for BratOK, and still nothing whatsoever on these for obvious reasons. He doesn't have the gas for it yet. Going to continue to pump out those Marines and get a good force initially. Now, more to the point, we shall keep an eye on what Mana's doing. It is as standard can be for Mana, really. The 3 gateways after that. If he doesn't add a robo on after that, I'll be very, very... Oh, look, there it is.
Yeah, he's playing just the same as usual. And BratOK as well, getting that tech lab down, will be wanting to go for stim. And let's see that engineering bay go down very, very shortly, as I love that, actually. That change was fantastic, and I really did like that from BratOK in that last game. So we'd like to see that again. There it is. The engineering bay goes down, ready for that +1. And BratOK sending in a scout and seeing 1 sentry and another couple of sentries being walked in, but is going to get that robo scout here, I think.
Oh yeah, that was a really fantastic scout. The thing is, he should be able to loop around. It depends if Mana is smart enough to try and intercept. Is he able to do that? He's trying to get through that narrow corridor. Down it goes. He's able to stop it at least before it sees the robo, but I think BratOK can safely assume what's going on here.
Yeah. Yeah, he should be fine with that. I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if Man had decided to go Robo Bay, to be honest. And that's a little change in this matchup, I think, but I think it works well against how BratOK's playing right now.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I mean, he gets the factory very late because he's gone for the 4 barracks here. And equally, he goes for Medivacs and usually 4 or 6 before going to Viking. So actually, I'm Gosu today. He's actually going for the Robotics Bay.
You did well. Robotics Bay coming down right there. That is, needless to say, the right approach, I think, and for the reasons that you have just given. And BratOK is going to have to find out about that. He's going to have to respond to it, because if he goes for the identical build and it's Colossus this time instead of Templar, then he's going to be in big trouble.
And look, the Destructible Rocks are being killed already from Man, just opening that up. I don't think he wants to expand right now, but he's just going to get ready.
That would be pretty crazy if he did, honestly.
Yeah, the Observer's on his way down, needs to go get some scouting information. A little poke out here from BratOK, take control of this Zanaga Tower where the probe is. He might swing to the other one as well, as he's pretty dark when he doesn't have these. And the probe dies, so we'll leave a Marine there, maybe swing to the other one, then retreat back home. And wait for this the upgrades to go on and that starport to finish. Yeah,
Observer sweeps around and of course doesn't see the entire composition of the force, but he will have noticed that in the attack anyway, so it's not really all that relevant. +1, stim, and of course combat shield very, very close to being completed. And BratOK looking to take his 3rd as well. And this really is pretty much identical to the last game, only I think he's taking his 3rd ever so slightly later.
Yeah, and I think that BratOK could walk into a bit of a wall here, because likewise, if you think about how these both players are playing and thinking respectively, is that Mana has used this style of Zealot Charge first every single game he's played against Terran players so far. So changing it up to go Colossus like this is a bit of an adjustment, which BratOK might not be really prepared for. I mean, he hasn't scanned a double time. He scanned earlier, which saw the robotics facility, which is completely normal. But aside from that, he has no idea what's going on.
Yeah, he doesn't see this hidden at the back of the mountain. Talon is a nice, nice big base. You can hide all sorts of things. Do you scan the back of the base right there, and what do you see? Because it could be down here. It could, of course, be hidden in the natural. Could be hidden up the 3rd. Who knows? It's very difficult to get a reliable scout right there, and I would imagine the first time he's going to see it is either when he meets one head-on or when he decides to drop into the base, and we'll find it one way or the other. Twilight Council coming up as well for Mana, so we could once again see the charge or, of course, the blink.
Yeah, I think it's going to be... I think BratOK's literally going to walk into it when it's too late, when 2 or 3 Colossus are out, Thermal Lance is done, and then he's going to be scrambling on his feet trying to get Vikings out, and it's going to be pretty tough. So clearly here, this is a bit of an error for BratOK, not really scouting fully what's going on. So
Mana placing down an aggressive pylon. It could just be to either scout or deny a 3rd base there, but not that you'd really do that. Usually you'd go to the bottom. But it's not really in warping range specifically, so I don't really see why else it would be there. Whatever the case, BratOK now pushing across the map, and actually come to think of it, that pylon could be to spot drops, but he's not able to engage at this point, and he still has no idea about these Colossus.
Nope, nothing whatsoever, has no idea. There's been no scans. I've been following BratOK's vision. He sees nothing at the moment aside from that one Zealot and pylon there, which cleans up that pylon. And a couple of Stalkers kill the Marine also, but now we're at 3 Colossus, I think. Yes, 3. The 3rd one's about to pop out now. Thermal Lance is done. +1 attack as well as halfway, and Zealot charge as well. And we're going to have this drop as well. And where are the observers? He has the Zanaga Tower, and already Man is still in a bit of a defensive position with his units, so he should be okay.
Very much so, and this drop will go unscouted the entire way around unless it decides to cut across and attack the natural, which does seem to be fairly unlikely. Mana, like you said, is prepared for some kind of drop play, but that does give BratOK an opportunity perhaps to expand once again, because he has complete security. BratOK does not know about these Colossus. He's only got 2 Vikings out. If he knew about them, he'd have way more by now. And this is interesting because, of course, he's shown the Vikings to Mana right now. So we'll see if Mana continues to build the Colossi, or if he decides to go a little bit more to the High Templar.
Oh, Mana moves out just as this drop is getting ready to go in.
Oh,
so the drop is moving down the right-hand side. Mana has no idea, but he's going to be able to deal with it really well. But if he moves out now, oh, that could be really bad.
Oh, wow, yeah, he is moving in. And let's see what happens. BratOK is just hanging on right now. I think he needs to, he perhaps wants to confirm it. He's going to move all the way out, try and draw him out of position. He knows, of course. I think BratOK's assuming that there's observers all over the place. He's getting very paranoid, and actually, that is a Colossus that could be immediately destroyed if BratOK were to go for that. The engagement is going to come in. Now BratOK is aware of these Colossus. Surely he will not want to engage. He gets force fielded off anyway. He's able to get a lot of the forces out, but a big drop right here into the mineral line, with BratOK now slaughtering this area, and now he wants to shut down the Colossus, and he will be able to do that, no problem at all. That's going to be absolutely huge.
And these 2 pylons are pretty huge as well, or he might just go directly for these structures.
Kill the tech.
And so, well, unfortunately for BratOK, Storm is done anyway, but he might be able to grab the forge. He's going to have to leave now, though, so...
If he gets out of there with no losses, and he... Oh, so very close. Oh, so very close. But still, I would trade a medevac full of useless convicts for that tech any day.
I'm not sure if that Mana's going to go back with the robotic spray. He might just switch over to how he usually plays, getting very zealot heavy. He's already got Storm completed, so there's no reason to go back to robotic spray, and especially now that we're going to see Vikings in production, I think it's just smart to continue with what he's doing now. Go very zealot heavy and mix up both Colossus and High Templar.
Now here is the Ghost Academy coming in right here from BratOK at the appropriate time, the kind of time when Ghost is very, very useful. But this is where things start to get interesting. If he rebuilds, which he is, and he goes heavy Colossus, the Ghost will be nice because there's not all that many feedbacks available. That said, Mana has the option to do both right now, very, very easily. And that's going to be a problem. Army supply count is very equal.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, it's equal in terms of supply count, but these Storms are going to make the biggest difference.
Oh, yes.
And they're just going to do so much damage here. And these 4 Colossi as well, he's just got nothing to really deal with that. A Marine does scout that 4th expansion at the north base. And BratOK's still on 3 bases at the moment, and this is such a nice army composition from Mana right now.
It's the classic Death Ball with a Storm flavoring added on top, and that's not very nice at all, is it? There's a Storm, it actually misses, and BratOK is able to deal with that quite nicely. However, they are now pushing onto this 3rd, and that is a lot of Colossus firepower at the back. And this time they're +2. He fixes that massive Storms going off, and BratOK driven all the way back by this incredibly aggressive push, walks into another Storm, and the Colossus count is still at 4.
Yeah, and force fields go down and trap these Marauders away from the Colossus, and this is looking really good for Mana right now. Very close to moving into the finals. These Marauders are going down. The expansion is having to be lifted off. Wow.
Oh my. This could be BratOK going out right now. The Colossus continue to remain a massive threat. SCV's pulling off the line. What is he going to do with that? There's an arc gun at the front as well, annihilating everything else. +2 upgrades right here. He is able to keep pace with his opponent. An additional Marauder push coming up right here. He's losing a lot here, but he is going back in with that. The Vanguard of that force is eliminated, and the Marauders will go for it anyway. He is eating a lot of firepower. He loses 1 Colossus. BratOK doesn't want to keep going for that. It's not worthwhile. He holds for the time being, but at what cost?
Yeah, I mean, Mana's got 1,600 minerals. He hasn't got that many gateways compared to his usual styles. He kind of went for this Colossus. He should be adding on a lot of gateways now, like 5 more gateways, and just power through the rest of this game. Though there are 2 lone Marauders going to take down this Nexus in the top left.
Well, that's embarrassing, isn't it? But there you go. I might as well just snipe away at that. And hell, if he were to actually stim, now, Mana's going to, needless to say, warp in a bunch of units to clean that up, because that, quite frankly, would be silly. But whatever the case, BratOK able to do decent damage. My concern is right now, I'd like to just point out the probe count and the SCV count.
Yeah, 76 versus 22, not looking so good for
not
BratOK
exactly,
whatsoever.
No.
And now Mana just has to basically go to 200 supply and A move over to BratOK's base, and he's looking good.
He is looking good, and this is almost certainly at this point going to be a Demaga versus Mana finals, which I'm sure a lot of people were really looking forward to, and we'll see how that works out. And of course, it will be a rematch of Stefano versus BratOK. Feedback going off right there. Medevac is taking a reasonable amount of damage, and now he can kill the Colossus before it comes into play, but he's still heavily outnumbered. Now moving himself up there, and does he have any vision up to the top? He actually doesn't, and that's quite handy, but still, he is so badly outnumbered.
Yeah, I mean, right now, the upgrades are 2-0 for Mana, 2-1 for BratOK, but that's not going to really matter when this army comes rolling down. This
not
is
exactly,
way
no.
too much. Nice spread from BratOK getting ready to intercept this, but I don't know.
Well, it would be amazing if he held it, but we're going to find out one way or the other. There's Storm on the left flank right there, ripping it out, and BratOK immediately running back into another Storm. GG! Ladies and gentlemen, Mana's in the final.